Hi, Bill here. Yeah, so I had to replace the hot water heater, and I like to go ahead and try to figure out how stuff broke so I know how to try to maybe make it not break so fast the next time. And I thought maybe you might like to see what the inside of a hot water heater looks like. So what I did is I pulled her apart, pulled the outside off, scraped some of the insulation out, cut a hole in it, and then pulled it apart a little bit. So what you're looking at here is that's the tank, the pressure tank. And you can see mine was starting to rust on the bottom pretty good. That's where it's starting to leak from. This is kind of a burner pan that sits underneath that. So normally this whole tank assembly will sit on top of that burner pan. And then I got a kick out of this. The whole burner assembly in your hot water heater, it's about as complicated as the burner on your Coleman cook stove, your single burner Coleman cook stove. So probably about the same BTUs too. So you got that little simple gas valve. Actually save that. And then what failed? Well, when I get in here and look again, you can see all the corrosion on the bottom of the tank, and I went ahead and cut this out so you could see how it worked. That's the combustion chamber down there. It sucks air in from those vents on the bottom from inside the house, and then what it does is it vents out through that center tube. So the hot gas, when it vents out, heats up the water too, not just the flames. It's got this kind of nifty little contraption. This is like a little directed air vent, convoluted piece of steel that makes the air go around in a, I think, in kind of a circular, cyclonic kind of fashion to build draft. And I had a little corrosion here. And I'm not sure my dielectric unions didn't ground out a little bit and let a little dielectric corrosion happen. The new ones I put in, I made sure they were in good shape. Now, inside here, that little tube, that is the tube that lets the cold water down in, so it goes into the bottom instead of the top. Center tube is the exhaust pipe, like we talked about. This tube, this is where the gas valve went in. This is where the drain was. I suspect my leak, I was getting just a little bit of intermediate leaking, and I think it was probably coming from that guy. But when you look inside, you can see pretty good corrosion starting to build up on the seam at the bottom of the tank. So I think I would have failed there eventually. You can see how they make these tanks. They're just steel, and then they're lined with just an enamel. It's like a glass enamel, like an old coffee pot. And then up in the top, you can see there's an outlet up there. There's the cold water in, and there's where the anode goes. And I was going to point that out to you. I gotta admit, I know I'm supposed to replace the anode, but I got a little lazy. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm thinking this anode maybe got a little bit, well, let's just say there is no anode left. It's just the steel rod that holds onto it. So let this be a lesson. If you want your hot water heater to last a little longer, replace that sacrificial anode rod, because as soon as that stops sacrificial in itself, the rest of the metal of the tank starts sacrificing itself. So there you go. A little look into a hot water heater.